Put 1 cup of warm milk so that when you stick your finger in it, it's warm. And add half a tablespoon of yeast and leave it in there for 7 minutes. After 7 minutes, add half a cup of flour and 2 tablespoons of sugar. And I've got both in this little cuppy. And then you just want to whisk that together. And once it's nice and whisked together, you're going to leave it for another 35 to 45 minutes until it gets all puffy. So we'll come back in 35 minutes. I forgot to mention you're going to want to put a piece of plastic wrap over top of this and leave it for your 35 to 45 minutes. And that's what it should look like after it's risen, all puffy like. Okay, so once it looks like all puffy inside, you're going to add 1 egg without dropping any shell in there, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. This is a half, don't worry. And a teaspoon of salt, or half a teaspoon of salt. But I just know how many cranks that is. And a tablespoon of melted butter. Get that in there. And you're going to whisk it together so you can look in the bowl. See how it's all puffy? Okay. That's good. Let's toss that over there. Don't mind my dirty kitchen. Okay, now you're going to put it in a stand mixer with a dough hook. If you don't have a dough hook, you can do this by hand. It's just going to take you longer. So, put it in there. And we are going to add 2.5 cups of flour, a half a cup at a time, until it's all mixed in. So, if you want to come in here, and we're going to put it at a 2 after we lock it. Can you move over so I can look? Okay. So, we're just going to dump that in there, and we're going to let it mix in every time in between. Okay. So, if you look in there, it's a little bit sticky still on the sides. So, you can add up to 2 tablespoons more flour. So, I'm just going to add 1. See if that's enough. You just want it to not be sticky and come away from the sides of the bowl a little bit. Okay, mine's a little bit sticky, so I'm going to add that final tablespoon of flour. But if yours is already coming away from the sides, don't add this. You don't want to add more than you have to. We're going to let it mix for 10 minutes. You can also knead this by hand for 10 minutes, and we'll come back in 10 minutes. Okay, so we're 10 minutes later, and you see how this is like all nice and soft now. It's not sticky, it's just soft, and the sides of the bowl are clean. That's what you're looking for. So now that you have that, you can obviously take the dough hook out of there. Just put it in a pile on the bottom of the bowl, cover it in plastic wrap, and you can either leave it on the counter for 2 hours, or you can put it, get my oven to 100 degrees and I put it in there, and it just takes an hour. So depends if you've got time. And yeah, we'll come back in an hour, and you're waiting until it doubles. So I'll show you what that looks like right away, but that's what you're looking for. Okay, so it's been an hour and it's been at 100 degrees, and you can see it's nice and fluffy. It's puffed up to twice. So you're going to put it out onto a floured surface and roll it out to like 17 by 10 inches. After we fight it out of the bowl. You just want to put a little bit of flour on top of it so it doesn't stick to your rolling pin. Okay. It's so soft. You're trying to keep it in a square, so I mean that's always tricky, but do your best. Okay, and then flip it. Nothing wrong, just pulling it a little bit. Okay. Was that almost 17 inches? Yeah. Okay, good enough. No one is counting. Close enough. Just make sure it's 10 inches wide, because the wider it is, the more layers you're gonna have of cinnamony deliciousness. Okay. Okay, we're pretty much good. Okay, then you're gonna take about, I don't know, half a cup of butter and get it melty, just so it's like soft but not totally melted, because you want to be able to spread it. And spread that all over the top. And make sure you get right to the edges, or you're gonna have cinnamon buns with gaps. Okay, I always make extra butter, and then if I don't need it, just put it back in the fridge and it'll harden up. But if you want the really ooey gooey ones, you gotta make sure you got a nice thick layer of butter. Okay, that's probably good. Enough. Okay. Then take a little bowl, throw a cup of sugar. Oh, look at that waste in there. And a tablespoon of cinnamon. Don't be like me and almost use cumin. It's a bad mistake. Okay, so tablespoon. Give that a quick stir, because you want it mixed together. That saves you from getting big clumps of cinnamon. Okay, then all you're going to do is sprinkle it on top. Oh no, I wrecked it. Okay, I like to give it a pat and kind of press it into the butter, because it'll keep it from running away on you in these next steps. If you like walnuts or like little chunks of apple, you can put it in now, but we're just going basic. Okay, so you're gonna grab one of your long ends and roll it. So we'll start at this one close to me. Okay, and then the last part, I just fold it up and pinch it, and that kind of seals the dough together. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I kind of squish the sides in, because they inevitably get squished out, so just flatten those in a little bit. Then we go to the secret weapon. You're gonna get some dental floss, because it's gonna save you your cinnamon buns falling apart. So figure out like halfway, I don't know, something like that. Put your dental floss underneath, cross it in half, and just pull, and it cuts through perfectly without squishing it. So then you're gonna make each side into 6, so that you have 12 altogether. Okay. Okay. Don't use that, throw it out. Put that sugar, okay then. 9x13 pan, grease it with butter. Use that leftover if you haven't done it yet. Then, obviously some of them are gonna have 2 cut sides, but if it has one side that's not, put that up and arrange them in your pan. Ooh. Well, these are gonna be so good. They're nice and soft. And if they unroll like that, just roll them back up. Stick them in the pan. I'm just gonna switch. Try and like, some of them are gonna be wider than others. Just try and make it kind of even. Okay. So now, because these are overnight cinnamon buns and you want to have these ready to go in the morning, you're just gonna, just like this, cover it in plastic wrap, put it in your fridge till overnight. It can be in there up to 18 hours, and then we'll take them on in the morning and bake them. I'll come back to it then. Okay, first thing in the morning, take these guys out of the fridge and leave them for an hour and a half at room temp until they double in size and get all puffy. Okay, so if you look in the pan, these are all puffy now. They've risen for an hour and a half. If they're not puffy like that, you can give them another half hour, but none of these, so we'll unwrap them. And you want to preheat your oven to 350 while you're doing this. Okay, melted butter. There's a lot. I'll tell you why at the end. So take your little brush and just brush these guys. Don't push too hard or you'll pop them down. Okay. And then why do you have so much butter? Because I like to make a little bit of sauce for the end. So take whatever sugar you have left, or butter you have left, put some sugar in there. I don't know. You don't have to measure it. Add a little sprinkle of cinnamon. Stir it up. Can you see that? Actually, I could use a little more sugar. Okay, so this part is only because in this house we love ooey gooey cinnamon buns. If you don't like yours particularly gooey, then you're wrong, but also you don't have to do this step. So I just take this and like drop it down, can you see this, between the cinnamon buns. And that is gonna sneak underneath them and bake in there and bubble and be delicious. And yes, it does make your pan a little bit more messy, but some things are worth the mess. Okay, so now that these guys are ready, they're gonna go into a 350-degree oven for 22 to 24 minutes until they're golden brown on top, and we'll come back when we take them out. Okay, so there they are, golden brown, delicious. Here's the pro tip. If you want really gooey, nice cinnamon buns, take a pan, put some parchment paper on it, put it over top. Magic moment. Carefully, without burning yourself. Take it. That's up. And ready? You're gonna flip it. I've of course got my arms. Okay. Flip it like that. Some goodness came out. Because you will get all that gooiness dripping down into them. So just leave them like that to cool, and the gooiness will drip back down into them, and then the top underneath gets a little more gooey instead of that dry layer. I like mine just like this. If you're a cream cheese frosting person, you could have left it normal and just put the frosting on top, but I like mine just gooey and delicious. So there you go, cinnamon buns.